Hi, everybody. Welcome back and welcome, Kim. How are you today?
Very good. Thank you for having me this evening.
I am so happy to have you because this is a whole different angle that we're going to look at. And I want to explain to everybody who you are and what you do and why I thought it was important to have you on. Kim has her bachelor's and her master's in clinical psychology. Your job, you actually work with the New York City Department of Health, and I know that you specialize in people who've had trauma and mental health issues, and specifically after 9/11. So, wow, thank you for doing that, love. And so, bringing you back to why I wanted to have you on now is that, being in quarantine and COVID, it brings up so much trauma for people. And I was interested in what you're seeing, because here these people have gone through so much stuff during 9/11, and maybe yes, maybe not recovered, and you work with them all the time, and now they're dealing with this. So can you give us a little bit of an idea of what you're seeing?
Definitely. Well, as mentioned, you mentioned before, I specifically work with survivors of 9/11. These are regular residents, people, also people who were first responders as well too. And one thing I did notice since this whole pandemic began is the fact that the media again had did a wonderful job being sarcastic of comparing something as devastating as 9/11 to this pandemic as well too. Granted, it is devastating. Not get me wrong. However, they're constantly comparing, especially in the beginning of this pandemic that we've had, that we're going through right now. You would always see almost every day, maybe 3 or 4 articles that would say this amount of deaths, almost as 9/11 with close to 3,000 deaths. And you would see kind of like, instead of a countdown, was like a counting up. And every time comparing it to the amount of deaths to 9/11. Then finally, once it hit over 3,000 deaths in New York City, it basically came to a point where they're like, oh, now surpassed the amount of deaths of 9/11 and so forth. And people that went through 9/11, they need to be very careful and so forth. So it went from something as it's leading up, it's building up, and then all of a sudden, oh, COVID's already up here, 9/11 is down here, and then all of a sudden, you don't hear no more comparison, no more of 9/11 because the deaths completely surpassed. I really do believe that one thing is a pandemic. It's a virus that is silently killing all of us compared to a physical event that happened to people. That was obviously devastating. The comparison don't really think should have been a good thing to do, especially for the people that I work with, and obviously other people in New York City who was here at 9/11 who still remembers that day. And seeing that again, it's re-traumatizing people
Yeah.
over and over again. They have that comparison of, the streets are quiet, they're empty. You have the comparison of just constantly hearing those sirens over and over and over. You hear them 3, 4, 10, 15 times a day, between the police sirens, the ambulance sirens, just nonstop. So imagine those who are actually here, and especially living in ground zero at that time, hearing that for months and months on end.
Yeah.
We're on months as well too, and we're hearing that. And even those who moved away from that area and all over New York, you're still hearing the same thing. So you think you removed yourself from that environment, you're someplace else, you're in the Hamptons, you're in other places, but you're constantly hearing the same sirens, the same thing that would bring you back again to the re-traumatizing moment.
So exactly.
um,
So it brings up all that trauma. So then tell me, like, what are you doing? Like, how, I'm sure you have so many different support systems. And before you answer that question, I didn't tell everybody that not only do you have, this training and this wisdom in helping people, in a clinical psychology point of view, but you also are a psychic medium. So the fact that you're so intuitive and you have this extra sensory, you know, um, gift to be able to really look deeper into somebody and help them on such a deep level is incredible. So using that and the training you have, like, what are you doing for them and what are you seeing right now?
so Yeah, basically now, directly here, besides when I'm working with the enrollees, you would say, it's mostly a lot of just phone call conversations with them, just really sitting down, just letting them talk about it. They are writing us emails, talking about, their whole process of, oh, this is kind of starting up again and so forth. We are offering them, of course, the NYC resources for them. It's the via phone or via text message that we are giving them that option as well. And then some places also too within our department as well too, we're also doing peer supports as well, because it's not only those who are out there, it's also our city workers as well too, who is being traumatized again, on top of the fact they have to be that front person to help those who are actually calling in to say, help me, I don't know what to do, I'm not feeling good, I'm feeling this way, and I don't know what I'm going to do, and how am I going to feed my kids, and how, so many other things are coming in hand as well too. So for example, within the department, we're creating support groups where we call them drop-in groups. We're doing the video conferencing. It's like from 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. that we're on the phone. We connect via Zoom, and anybody who was available, who just wants to have a moment, we call it just to dump your emotions, dump what you feel, dump anything that you're going through at the time being, so that you are ready to continue helping the public, the communities. And that's something that we're doing in-house, that's helping our coworkers, all of us and frontline people, that's actually helping those out there who are sick, who are, dying, who are, having their mental, problems getting worse and because of this. And then for me, as mentioned, as a psychic medium lately, it's been pretty interesting, the amount of readings that I've been giving to people. A lot is just, the reconnecting to a loved one, and just knowing that they feel some form of comfort, that even though now, even if they're home quarantined by themselves, or, can't be with their family physically and so forth, knowing that, someone still of their loved ones is, who is deceased, who's on the other side, is actually still with them, still watching over them, still guiding them, still helping them out, and it brings them a sense of closure, a sense of a breathe in, breathe out moment, that anxiety, am I alone? What am I going to do? What's going to happen? And this and that, knowing that no one is alone at all. No one's alone, whether you believe in, talking to the deceased on the other side, or, just even believe in a psychologist or a therapist, because people don't believe in that either. Whichever way side you're comfortable with, it's needed, and people do need to connect to that level where they know that they're never, ever, ever alone in what they're going through. Everyone is going through it, of course, different levels, different ways. However, there's always, always help for them. So
I love what you're saying, because you really, first of all, that you provide reassurance, and support for the frontline workers. And then what you're doing, it's very difficult to listen to people all day and try and help them. And so the fact that you have what you call dump session, that's so important, so that you can, put everything out there, make space so that you're ready for the next, to deal with your clients. And then for them as clients to have this resource, that they're not alone, that they're not isolated, that they have a person, a trained person who can listen to them and be able to give them guidance. And so can anybody, is it only people who are, connected to 9/11 that you work with, or how?
no, I mean, for me specifically, yes. However, for New York City in general, for Department of Health in general, no, it's anyone. But for me, so I work with that specific population because we've been working with them for many years, watching their physical health, also along with their mental health as well too, for many years. However, the resources that I mentioned, like via phone call and so forth, they actually now, NYC, if I'm not mistaken, I think they also added FaceTime as well too, because sometimes you just need that FaceTime, that face connection with like, oh, you're real. Okay, great. Well, I need this. How can I get this in resources and so forth? You know, New York City now is definitely trying to connect more with the technology base, the FaceTime version of it. For NYC, well, it's just even that, like a conversation with a person and just, you know, say whatever they need to say. And then once they're done, you know, they will be offered resources. So this is for anyone in New York City,
And it's a
anyone.
free service, right? Anybody can
And
access
yes, free service. You could via
it.
text, via phone, and also too, not only within the 5 boroughs. This is all New York as well too.
I love
They
it.
also do have for outside of New York. However, I would need to pass that information on to you. I need to look for it to pass that information on to you. But NYC Well alone, you can look for it, look it up. You will find that information, and it's just right there. So.
That's amazing and so important. And I know you personally, you weren't even in the States for 9/11. You came like a month after. And this for you is already a true calling. You told me that you went into 1,000 homes and did like case studies and worked with the parents who'd been through the trauma. And that's incredible that you were called to do this.
It was a lot, as mentioned, and again, it also follows back again to, you know, being a frontline person, that you take in so much and you cannot be your best for the next person if you don't take care of yourself. And, you know, for me, this specific project I was working on is for 3 years. This was obviously 5 days a week, as included weekends at times where I would visit the person. And it wasn't just a quick 2-minute conversation. Okay, great. No, they, you know, welcomed me in warm arms, you know, into their homes, and had me listen to their whole experience on 9/11. And for me, I wind up getting, after those 3 years, you know, being very, very honest, I actually knew after a while, I saw myself getting secondary PTSD. So, and I was not physically here in New York when it happened. However, I caught myself, you know, going downtown and then seeing a street, Reed Street or Water Street, and right away, like, feel like an anxiety, and then that person's story, or person number 300, person number 700 story that mentioned the street Reed or something would come in my head and play in my head, where I caught myself like having that anxiety moment, seeing things, and it was, whoa, wait, this is way too much for me. And after the project was over, I saw my therapist for about a year and a half, because I needed to learn to separate that. And it's hard. It's easier when you're not awake or not sensitive and not intuitive. It's so much easier because you just turn it off, and this is just science. This is just this person. I just go through this and I can do this. But when you're really awake and very intuitive too, you took all of that in, and that was my issue in the beginning. So if that was me for a project a couple of years back, now with COVID, this is going to be a whole other story, a whole other next psychology sessions I would need to start going through. But I think the difference of that then and this now is just learning more to control, to protect myself, and also to remind myself again, I'm not alone in this. I'm not the only one doing this. There's many other people doing this. I have my coworkers, I have my friends that are still out there that are doing these things as well too. And all it takes, a phone call, hey, let's chat, let's talk, let's make our own dump sessions. You know, let's do a FaceTime, girls time, great. Yeah, okay, we'll talk about other things. All right, let's talk about work. Dump it all there, knowing that once we're done, we're rejuvenated. We can keep on going. Let's just keep it flowing. So if you can't have that dump session at work, you know, because everybody works in different things and so forth, and you don't have to be a frontline worker. At the end of the day, people are going through different things, different types of mental health, situations because of COVID. Connect with your friends, connect with people that you know are like-minded as you, actually have a FaceTime section and have your whole dump session. Have it. You would be so amazed once you're done how light you feel and how you're ready to continue the next work. I definitely recommend this for not only
That's
just frontline workers.
It's such good advice. And, yeah, just think about it. If you let go of it, you're not carrying it with you. But, while you were talking about going into all these homes for 3 years, I psychically feel like you're going to have a book. There's a book in there, love. I mean, that's an incredible.
Yeah, it's so funny. A lot of people that I've interviewed that I did, they all ask me the same thing. They enrollees, they're like, "Oh my God, the stories! You
Yeah.
must be able to write an amazing book with all these stories." And I said, "Yeah, I could, but I would need a lot of legal documentation to approve me of getting these stories published." And everybody was like, "We'll sign it off in a check in a heartbeat."
I'm sure they
You were
will.
amazing to talk to. They just loved my energy speaking to them, because it's not only letting them talk. I laugh, I crack jokes. Laughter has always been my go-to. And
Yeah.
after they're done with that moment where they feel I'm like, okay, let's bring some laughter in, and I would just crack a joke on something else and they would laugh, and and to this day I can just make a phone call and I haven't talked to them in 3 years. They always remember me, or they'll definitely always ask for me.
You know
So
what it is? It's because people remember something that's real. That always, and that's you, love. And also, just like in case anybody wants a reading with Kim, what she does is not predictive. I just want them to understand what you do. It's more that if somebody's passed, that you're able to, get messages from them and talk about them and how it's relating to what they're going through now. So I'm going to put your contact information, underneath this interview. And really, Kim, thank you for what you do, love. Like it's because of people like you, you're able to pull other people through and really pull them out of dark, dark holes and let them see that there's support and there's love and there's reassurance and there's help. So thank you for everything. I feel lucky that I know you. And if anybody, needs any assistance, I'm going to put the information at the bottom of the interview. And you stay safe, honey.
absolutely.
Thank you for your
Thank
time.
you so much. Everybody stay safe, and just seriously have faith. It's gonna, like everything else, we will overcome this. This too shall pass. Thank you.
I love that. Good place to end. Goodbye, honey.
Bye.